Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss and Kristin West, only on LA Talk Radio.
Ooh, I love that new beginning to our show. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to What Women Want Talk Radio. I'm here with Kristin West, my co-host, and our show tonight is Collaboration and Success. As Kristin says, we have conversation that feeds your mind and energizes your spirit, and that is so true. We talk about all the things you need to know and the things you need to think about also, just like success and collaboration. That's our show tonight. And just recently, I've really learned the importance of collaboration, whether it's forging new partnerships in business, working together with people on a more intimate level, or simply brainstorming with people about how to move forward. It's really, really important not to stay stagnant. And it's really important for people like you and I, Kristin, to not fall into the trap of working alone. I'm actually in the middle of my 50 cups of coffee at the moment. Do you know what that is?
I read up on it a little bit, but I'm fascinated to hear more. Did you drink them all at once?
I'm taking a few weeks.
That's good to know.
Yeah. That, you know what, after 1.5 cups of coffee, my mind is a little blown. So I really don't need the caffeine. But basically, the concept is that you go out, if you want to change something, if you want to improve something, or even meet your soulmate, you have a new idea for business, you're looking for investors, that type of thing. The whole idea is to go out and have 50 cups of, I'll say, quote unquote, coffee, because you can have virtual coffee as well. And to really tell people, both that you know and people that you've just met, and state your intention. Okay, and get their opinion on what they think about it. And it only has to last about 15 to 20 minutes. And my intention is finding partners for our What Women Want brand so we can make it global. And, you know, it's so interesting when I sit down and talk to people, the kinds of ideas they have, the connections that they suggest to me, and the things that that they're helping me move forward with. It's wild.
Well, that's amazing. And you never know what a conversation will yield, even if you're not sure exactly what it's for. It may yield something in the future, or it may cause you to think about something in your past differently. And I think that's what's so great about your networking events, too, is people having all these great conversations and really growing from them.
Yeah, totally. And I'm so thrilled to be able to help people along the way that I meet for these cups of coffee also, because I'm always looking, obviously, to give back and to help people too. So it just, again, it fuels my soul and energizes my spirit. So speaking of collaborating, I'm actually working with David Baer. Now, he was a keynote at our What Women Want conference a couple of weeks ago. He was unbelievable, jaw-dropping presentation. And we're working together on a webinar that anyone that's listening right now should really sign up for. It's November 2nd. You only have a few days to sign up for it. It's called Master Your Inner Game of Entrepreneurship. Now, this guy is an incredible expert on mindset. Inc. magazine called him a leading expert on mindset. And this is a free webinar that he's offering everyone that's listening. You can go sign up on our Facebook group page, What Women Want Networking. And the first 20 people to sign up will get my PDF of presenting yourself on TV and in person. So join us for this webinar. As like I said, he was completely blew my mind on stage. So this is, you can have a chance now to glean some wisdom off of his, from him on this webinar. So go grab your spot on our What Women Want Networking Facebook page. Okay, Marylou Harris and Sarah Spicer are our guests tonight. They're coming on in just a few minutes to talk about their careers and experience in collaborating with people, lots of people, and it certainly can get delicate in some situations. Now, Marylou and Sarah are both members of What Women Want Networking. Marylou is actually our Buckhead chapter director down in Atlanta, so I'm very grateful for that. And I'm really excited because Marylou is the founder of a company called Awesome Natural Healing. And she's going to come from a very different perspective than Sarah, who has a production company. So we're going to get their angles and their opinions on, how we can really collaborate, what tools we can use to really strengthen our collaborations and communications, right, for success. Okay, but first I want to thank all of you listeners out there. 3.5 years, and we've hit 900,000 downloads. So we are making our way to 1 million very, very soon. Our numbers are increasing after 3.5 years. I am happy to say that. Thank you, Lord. I just still can't believe it. And if you haven't subscribed to us, you probably should. So you can do that on iTunes, or you can visit our archives on LA Talk Radio's website, latalkradio.com. And we are also on YouTube. So that is amazing also. Thank you, Kristin, for that. Okay, so besides being one of the hosts of this awesome radio show, I am also a TV host, a regular contributor on NBC and Fox. I founded the company What Women Want Networking that we've been plugging and talking about 6 years ago, whatwomenwantnetworking.com. And we just hosted our first national conference in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. Wow, what a weekend. Women flew in from all over the country. I think there were like 15 different states or something, all over, from Missouri to California. Kristin, of course, came in for it. It was amazing. And we have several regional chapters spanning from coast to coast with What Women Want Networking. So come see us at a local chapter in your area until we have next year's big Atlanta event, or you can open a chapter also. And I am also a St. Martin's Press author, a freelance writer for New York Lifestyles magazine, and the mom of 13-year-old twin girls. Kristin, tell our listeners about your beautiful self, your background, what you're doing this weekend. I heard you're being nominated for a screenwriting award at the Fantastic Horror Film Festival coming up.
I am. I'm nominated along with my collaborator, Ariana Wolf, for a feature-length screenplay called Likeness, and I'm also helping them to produce and direct their awards show for their film festival. And oh
my gosh, you do so much. And it's so funny because you hate talking about yourself. And I got to get Matt Chasen on here because, you're so humble and so just don't want to talk about yourself, but you're doing so many amazing things.
I'm really blessed to have great people like Matt and like you who I can work with and just spread good media out there, good vibes, good messages. And I've, in all my time in being on television, on comedy shows, and being in horror movies, and producing my own work, I've always been blessed to have great collaborators, which is an amazing thing to have in your life.
And what are the movies you have coming out?
I have The Lich, which is coming out soon, starring Tom Sizemore. And I also have, Hell's
Kitty. What is it?
Yes, Hell's
Kitty.
Hell's Kitty, right. It was once a web series, and now it's becoming a movie. I'm so excited about that, too. And there's a lot of great, if you love classic horror, there's a lot of great cameos in that one as well.
Well, good luck at the film festival coming up this weekend. We are so proud of you. We're going to be rooting for you and retweeting you and watching you on the red carpet and everything else. And Kristin, you brought up collaborating, in a career. I'm going to bring on Marylou now. Marylou Harris is a holistic health coach, a passionate educator, motivational speaker, and an advocate for all women. After a lengthy career in corporate America, she became a successful entrepreneur who was trying to enjoy an early retirement when she heard her calling to go into the world and help women with her holistic health coaching practice. Welcome to the show, Marylou.
Thank you for having me, Judy.
Absolutely. And talk about collaboration. You must be constantly at work trying to collaborate with people for, what's ailing them, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I love being able to collaborate to kind of have a ripple effect to help more people. And obviously, you said I was the Buckhead chapter director for What Women Want Networking. And so I do that, and I do other networking too. So I'm always looking for ways to kind of spread that ripple effect with other great women that I meet through networking, like Sarah Spicer, who's getting ready to come on in a little bit. But it's funny, I don't make New Year's resolutions. I usually pick a word going into a new year, and on January 1st of 2017, the word I picked was collaborate. And it was amazing. It's that whole manifestation thing. I would then meet women who I would talk to them about their business, and then they would I would talk about mine, they talk about theirs, and often that word came back to me, we need to collaborate. I wasn't the one saying it. It was being said to me. So it was kind of amazing that that's what I said this year was going to be about, and it truly has. So it's been an amazing journey. That
is amazing. And thank you for, being the Buckhead chapter director of What Women Want, and also for having me at an ABWA meeting down there to speak.
Yeah, sure.
I was very honored to do that. And that's those are forms of collaboration also. But right. I want to get into your relationship with the, what you do as your holistic health coach. Right. And then you have clients. So there must be some sort of collaboration there when you first take on someone and they're telling you about, what's wrong with them and how you can fix them. Right.
Right. And, people come to me, sadly, when they're kind of at the end of their pitiful rope, and a lot of times they need something different than what I do. So that's where it's great to have a stable of people that you've collaborated with, because I don't ever want to try to mislead somebody or misguide them into trying to fit a square peg into a round hole and force them into my practice if my practice isn't a good fit for them. So that's why it's great to have people that you do collaborate with and you trust, so that if somebody is a better fit if a potential client is a better fit for someone else, then that's the level of integrity that I want to operate my business with. So it is really great in that regard to have other women that I've met through networking and whatever, to be able to help me do that. So it's nice.
You said your New Year's resolution now is going to be based on collaboration, right? So can you talk a little bit about the mindset of collaboration? It sounds like you had maybe a shift of an attitude towards it, no?
Yeah, I did. I just kind of had almost like an intuition that I knew that I could bring my business kind of up to the next level through collaborating. And it was fairly early on in the year that I met Sarah, and she's an amazing director and film producer and videographer, and I really wanted to, again, take my business kind of, level up, as they say in the gaming world, through webinars. So I didn't want to be like the person that did the same old, which is, great. A lot of people do it and it's very successful. But I think because of my marketing background, I really wanted to get out into the World Wide Web in a much more professional manner. So I wanted to go in studio and I wanted to work with somebody, but I wasn't capable of doing that. I wasn't trained to do that. But when I met Sarah, we talked about it, and I quickly knew that she was somebody that I could collaborate with because I had a very high trust level in her. I had briefly looked at some of her work. She's amazing. And she brought me into studio and just coached me and really helped me look like I was somebody that kind of knew what I was doing. So she's
you do
great. I'm much more comfortable on the other side of the camera. So it was again, from a collaboration standpoint, it was A+ because she just gave me the confidence and the coaching and kind of pulled out of me what I really wanted to see on screen. And it was funny because I was so expecting to hate it when I saw the rough cut come back, and I called her and I was just dying laughing because I loved it and I couldn't believe I loved it because I'm usually so hard on myself. But I give a lot of credit, most of the credit to her on that, because she did just make me comfortable. And again, if you can collaborate with somebody who can take your business from, a plateau where you've been for a few years and bring it up to that next level. I mean, I just think there's an exponential success effect to that. So I'm very excited about it. I haven't even promoted the websites yet. I'm just sharing them organically, and I'm already getting just amazing feedback and a great uptick in my business from it. So
Marylou,
yeah, I'm a huge fan of collaboration. I'm sorry. Yes?
Oh, it's okay. I wanted to draw on your experience in the corporate world because I think the zeitgeist very much is to collaborate and to be collaborators. And I sometimes
Right.
think women get the short end of the stick on this because a lot of collaborative work does tend to fall on women because we're stereotyped as caring and communal, but it could also be emotionally exhausting. How do we nurture and protect ourselves using some of the things that you offer in a very collaborative work environment?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to be careful who you pick to collaborate with because, it's almost like, a marriage, if you will. You have to realize that person should be someone that is very similar in mindset and character and integrity with you, because when you collaborate with someone, you're putting kind of your eggs in their basket for a little bit, and they need to be a good reflection of who your brand is and who you want to be. So I would say, much like the marriage reference I just made, make sure you date for a little while before you make sure that that's the person you want to collaborate with, because I just think it could be magical or it could be a disaster. So I just think you need to realize that your brand is kind of your baby, and you need to be very protective of it. And so in that regard, I think just make sure and have a high level of trust, like I do with Sarah, because she's putting my brand out there in the world for me. And so I had to have a high level of confidence in her, which I do. But yeah, I would say that's, one of the things that I would be the most mindful of initially is just not, quality versus quantity. Don't do a lot of collaborating, pick people that you really think will be a good fit for you.
Are there any early warning signals like when a client comes to you? Are there any warning signals that they might be stressed out by maybe too much influence, too many opinions, over collaborating? Does something like that even show up in the body in any way?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us.
Stress shows up in the body in lots of ways. I mean, and we live in a stressful world, so a lot of people aren't getting the quality of sleep they need. Just the fact that, our stress hormone is cortisol, and when that's released in the body, that creates inflammation, and it actually can cause things like belly fat and, all kinds of things we don't want in our life. So we really have to manage our stress. And I have great natural alternatives and suggestions to doing that in a delightful and painless way. So, but a great deal of my client load right now who's suffering from stress. In fact, one of my certifications is in stress management because I did want to go back into the corporate world with that, and I'm doing that at some Georgia-based employers. We're getting ready to start a new series of stress management workshops in within their employees at their company, and because they know if you can cut people's stress down, stress affects your immune system, your sleep, your home life. Obviously, they want happier employees make better employees, healthier employees make better employees. So I did have a lot of memories of my corporate years and the stress that was involved with that, and being a working mom and all that, and was able to bring that back from the other side now. And try to help those people to not be so stressed out, so they can be more productive employees and just be better people. Live a better life.
There are some people, though, that are not normally collaborative. I think of solopreneurs or people who are self-employed and they're just working for themselves, and they pretty much are their business.
Yeah, I think sometimes you even fall into it.
Right.
I know sometimes when I'm working on the computer for hours and hours at a time, I mean, you almost forget, oh my gosh, I really need to connect here, with people in person and, in a more authentic way.
Right.
Absolutely.
You can forget that, especially if you can live behind a screen. How would you work with someone who is not used to asking others for help?
Well, that's a tough one. I'm not really good at asking others for help, but and being a solopreneur can be lonely, so that's one of the main reasons why I enjoy collaborating is, I'm a people person. I'm a social person. I don't really want to be isolated when I'm not with my clients, and so I think that can really factor in when you're a solopreneur. So, but gosh, reaching out to other people and just kind of introducing the idea to them of, hey, you work with your people and I work with my people. If we work together, I can help you help more people and you can help me help more people. So, it just makes, I have my circle of influence, you have your circle of influence. If we join those two circles, we're covering a lot more ground. So I have reached out to people in exactly that way and said, we can help more people together than we can separately. So
it's really a lot of, it sounds like brainstorming and kind of testing out the waters at first.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, mm-hmm. And just, brainstorming is a perfect word because a lot of this is new to not only me, but to the person that I may be thinking about collaborating with. These are new roads we're going down. So, again, just talking out loud and brainstorming and throwing ideas at each other a lot of times brings great new ideas into view. So a lot of communication, for sure.
I think that's a huge factor in success, really, also, is communication. And I think that the communication is a stepping stone to collaborating with someone. That sure has been in my life with my 50 cups of coffee. I think I'm on number 16 now. So by the time we get to 50, I'm going to see, look back, and I'm taking notes. And I'm not a big journaler. I don't write in journals too much, and I do other things. I meditate and I do other types of things. But I've taken notes on what's happening with my journey here of my 50 cups, and I'm excited to see what rolls out. So Marylou, tell us what your website is and exactly how you can help people who are listening out there, and how we can get a hold of you.
You can get a hold of me. I have a website. It's awesomenaturalhealing.com. I am at Awesome Natural Healing on Facebook. My email is Marylou, which is my first name, Marylou, at awesomenaturalhealing.com. And, I'm sorry, what was the, exactly how did you word your question so I can answer it just right?
Your website, awesomenaturalhealing.com.
Right.
And your Facebook and Twitter, and you can, obviously there's a contact through your website, and they can find out. Oh, I wanted to just in 2 or 3 sentences, tell people what you can do for them. Full disclosure, I'm a client of yours, and I love your products and the advice you give, and the care and passion that you put into it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'd love people to know. I was just texting someone earlier saying, you got to get those cough drops that she has, whatever they're called. So you really are helping people. So just let people know, what you do, just in a nutshell.
Well, I just help all people, but kind of my wheelhouse is women, because that's who I'm with most of the time. But obviously, the woman is
probably
right. Well, obviously, the woman is the matriarch of the family, so she's caring for the kids and caring for the man usually. So she's the head honcho in that department. But I just help all people who just want to feel better, whether it's get a better night's sleep, boost their immune system. I'm really big on the immune system, boosting the immune system naturally this time of year, because, if you want winter wellness, we got to start talking about it now, because we got to get you sturdy and ready for that. And women with their hormonal issues all throughout their lives, every woman on planet Earth is basically hormonally imbalanced in today's world. Sleep is a big pain point. A lot of people aren't getting the sleep they need, which is just compromising their health in ways they probably can't even imagine. So, while we're talking collaborations and how fantastic Sarah Spicer is, I'd love for people to send me an email and ask me for my free webinar. I don't have it on a webinar platform yet, but I will soon. But if you want it before it's out there, just send me a request. I've got a great one on the science behind a great night's sleep, and then the women's health one is called Stop Suffering, because women who are aware that they don't want to maybe go down some of the synthetic hormone roads because of all the side effects they've heard from that, they don't realize that there is something natural that will end their suffering, so they don't have to have night sweats and hot flashes and horrible periods and things like that. So 15 to 17 minute webinars, totally free, mainly information, a little bit of a product promotion at the very end. And, I do this as a heart-based business because I really do just, love helping women live better lives. So
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Yep. AwesomeNaturalHealing.com. Thank you, Marylou. And
thanks,
Kristin.
Judy. Thanks, Kristin.
You're welcome. Kristin, I keep going back to you and thinking about how you have to work with teams and crews and all kinds of different personalities, in your projects. And I'm just wondering, if someone's not participating in something you've envisioned or something that you're producing, or even, with your acting, and you've already started collaborating with them, what do you do? Like, how do you handle something like that? What are some tips you can give us? Because you, I'm sure, have dealt with every type of personality on the planet.
It's true. And some of them are very vibrant and fun, and some of them are not so fun. But I can tell you that there are two great rules in acting. One of them is you always help your scene partner. So if you come from a space of helping, you can never go wrong. And I think that translates to anything that you do with producing or with directing or even being in the art department or being in the sound department. As long as you have this attitude of helping, you're going to be on the right track. The other thing that I learned from improv is whenever you're working with an improv partner or partners, it's always yes. You say yes to whatever circumstance is given to you, and then you move on to the and move on to the next thing. So I think those two rules really help. And I'm really loving this idea of comparing notes with Sarah. Sarah is an award-winning producer and director, and she left corporate America to pursue her dream of acting, writing, and filmmaking. Her documentary, Hope for Steve, has won national and international awards and is in distribution on Amazon, iTunes, and Google Play. She is currently working on a Facebook Live episodic concept, a docuseries, and is supporting women in business by creating brand videos, promotional videos, webinars, and experiential videos that complement and elevate their marketing campaigns. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Hi, thank you so much for coming on. Sarah,
Thank you for having us.
Well, I'm thrilled, and you had a tremendous recommendation from Marylou. I felt like Marylou really prepped us and revved us up for you. So I'm fascinated. You started off in the corporate world, and now you're making media. How did you get started making media?
Well, how did I get started? That's a loaded question. I was doing medical sales for almost 5 years. And I kept having this fear that one day I was going to wake up and be 90 years old, sitting on my rocker on my front porch with a whiskey in one hand and my grandchildren at my feet saying, Granny, what did you always want to do? And me telling them, I always had this dream, but I never tried it. So that fear prompted me to jump ship and go back to school. I had already gotten my bachelor's degree from Florida State, and I went back and got my technical degree in filmmaking from, it's a mouthful, it's called the International Academy of Film and Television Arts. It was in Miami, and moved back to Atlanta to capitalize on the booming film industry, where I initially started to pursue acting, which, Kristin, mad respect to you and any other actor and actress out there, because acting is the toughest business ever. And I quickly learned that it just was not something that I had the patience for, truthfully. And so as I was working in front of the camera and watching everything going on behind the scenes, I generated a huge interest in that. I've been a writer first, so I always had a passion for telling stories. And then I started working production side, assistant directing, co-producing, then co-directed and produced the documentary, and that was it. I'm a producer through and through.
It's
loving to tell stories through video.
It's a great place to be, I have to say. Well,
yeah.
That sounds like an amazing journey, and kudos to you for following your passion and really taking the long view of your life and saying, I don't want to have this but moment. What was your first successful collaboration?
My first successful collaboration, well, I would say going back to, had a few, but my first big successful collaboration was with The Last Rescue, with Fire Shoe Productions out of Seattle. It's a World War II feature film, starring Brett Cullen, Cody Cash, Jill Marini, and it was just a fantastic experience. We shot this World War II feature film in 12 days in Southern Alabama, and it just took teamwork from every angle, from all different departments. And being in a co-producer role, while my producers were in the field, I was in the office working with another producer and helping all the cast and the crew. And I'd say that was the first successful collaboration, because I walked away from that film, and I'd say 2 years later, I look back on it and I'm still on a little bit of a high. It was just such an amazing experience. 12
days for a feature, that had to be like epic, especially with the subject matter. That's amazing. Now, how?
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
No, I was just going to say, what was cool is they actually had World War II tanks and airplanes at the location we were at, and those were live, and the planes are flying overhead and the tanks are going through the woods. And there's one point where I was standing there with a clipboard, and I'm like, is this my life? Wow, this is
well, you wanted something exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yes.
How many, what's the smallest team you've worked with, and what's the largest team you've worked with?
Well, the smallest team I've worked with is probably the webinar with Marylou. She brought those up earlier. It was just myself and Marylou and our sound guy, Harper Harris, who is phenomenal at what he does. And then the largest crew I've worked with, the largest team I've worked with was probably The Last Rescue, the World War II film. We had, 60 to 80 people on that film, I think. And it was just a lot of logistics and coordinating. So, and you guys have talked about collaboration, and it does go back to mindset. Judy, you mentioned David Bayer earlier, who I am such a super fan of, and I do want to say, Judy, thank you so much, because Judy invited us to film the Spirit of Women conference in Atlanta 3 weekends ago, Judy? Which was about 3 weeks ago. And I invited you, but I was dying to have you because you have such a passion for what you do. And Kristin and I were talking about it earlier, that we saw that when you were filming the conference, that it was just so intense. We didn't even want to talk to you. We were just like, oh my gosh, let her do her thing, because she is in her zone. And, it's like, I don't even want to interrupt her right now to introduce you to Kristin or anybody, because you were really so into it. And it's so refreshing to see someone who's working like that and is just putting 150% into every little detail. Well, I appreciate it, and I do love what I do. And during that conference, when my camera guy had to step out, and so I took over the camera, and I had the headphones on, I'm looking through a monitor, and I'm watching David Bayer as the keynote, and I had one of those moments that I had on the World War II feature film, where I'm watching the camera, I'm like, is this my life? I get to film this guy right now?
And listen to him
incredible.
and get all the knowledge and wisdom from what he's saying.
Oh, he is just fantastic. And honestly, it probably feels like Marylou and I are talking each other up, but we really do talk about a really healthy collaborative energy. That's the way I felt working with her too. It's just, there are certain people you mesh with, and she brought this up during her interview, right? The key to collaboration is find the people whose energy your energy matches with, and together your energy grows and propels each other forward. David has that kind of energy for me. I'm sure he doesn't resonate with everybody, although I would just be shocked if someone said to my face they didn't resonate with David Bayer, because he's just that amazing.
And that's
but
one of the
Marylou
reasons why we're following up with a webinar with him, too, on November 2nd that I mentioned earlier, because he just, I feel like if you missed him at the conference, which obviously, a lot of people did, then you can participate with this webinar, a live webinar. So it's going to be really exciting, and he's going to let me say a few words on it, too. So it's going to be really fun.
And I will be on that webinar. I'm super excited. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah. And, Marylou, for me, brings that same energy to the table. When you find somebody, she brought me into the What Women Want network, and she brought me into the speakers board, and she introduced me to you, and she introduced me to all these other phenomenal women here that I've met here in Atlanta. And she does operate with certain decorum and integrity and tenacity that is extremely refreshing for me. And so those are the kinds of people, when you're looking for collaborations, no matter what project you're doing, no matter what team you're on, those are the kinds of people, I think, in order to have a successful collaboration, you need to bring into your circle, so that you each can propel one another forward in a very healthy, constructive manner while still having a good time without the stress and the chaos and the tension of some of the ickiness that comes along when energies just don't collide well.
Yeah, but how do you know? I want to know how you know. So when you're walking up to someone and you're thinking, okay, this is Sarah, and you have your production company, and you're looking for a partner, maybe to move your business forward, like not just clients or people you want to work with, but really someone that you want to take take it a level higher in your career or business. And, how do you know when you meet that person that may have the potential? For me, it's brainstorming. I can find out a lot from someone when I meet them, and we just kind of throw ideas out, and I see how they react to the ideas and that type of thing. What methods do you use?
It, for me, is intuition. And it has taken me a really long time to learn to trust my gut and my intuition. And I can give you a slew of examples of points in my life where I didn't listen to my gut and my intuition, and it was always right, and I always regretted not listening to it. So now I'm getting to the point in my life and in my career where when my gut speaks, I'm listening. And sometimes it's a quiet voice. There's a coach I work with, Melanie Nelson, who's a financial coach. She and her husband Doug wrote this amazing book called Catch Fire, How to Ignite Your Own Economy. And her quote was, sometimes that voice is a whisper. So you have to get really quiet and listen to that whisper. But it's just one of those things, it's intuition. It's in your gut. Immediately when you meet somebody. I mean, we feel it within 6 seconds through body language, through the feeling we have, through intonation in the voice. There's just something. And I will say I go on intuition always, but I have also incorporated patience. And so even if I say yes or no immediately to somebody right away in my mind, I will take a step back and I will give an opportunity for that relationship to breathe a little bit and kind of check my gut a little bit. And most often, my gut has always been right. But there are some times I will look back and I'll go, okay, I could give this person a little more of a chance perhaps than I initially was going to. Does that make sense?
It does.
Totally. Kristin, go ahead.
No, it totally does. And I think we have those ingrained mechanisms deep in us as women for our survival and our protection. And what I wanted to ask you in particular, woman to woman, is you're a producer and a director, and entertainment is still very much a male-dominated field. There are strides moving in the opposite direction. There is a more collaborative environment between men and women. But is there advice you would give to a woman in entertainment who's not sure if she wants to take the plunge and how to go about collaborating successfully?
Well, choose the work that resonates with your soul. Choose the work that's going to make you happy. Don't do things just for money. Money is important and we all need it. But there are things that you can do that you can do just for the greater good. And be very choosy with who you work with. And don't let anybody push you around. You know, when you're really solid in your foundation and you're solid in who you are, it doesn't matter who questions you. You move forward anyway. And you can do that gracefully or you can do that ungracefully. That's your choice. But, you know, I've been in so many situations. I came from medical sales. That's a male-dominated field. And now I'm in film, which is a very male-dominated field. And it's hard to crack in. I'm still working to crack in Atlanta on a more corporate level. A lot of the people I align with are males, and I adore them. They're phenomenal. They're talented. They're warm. They're wonderful. I can't say enough good things about them. But use your voice, use your inner strength, and use your grace. Most of us women are programmed with a grace that, sorry guys, not a lot of men have. And so when we use that, we can get our way in different ways without having to hurt anybody, as long as we're smart about it and have that integrity that Marylou was talking about earlier.
I think one of the things that women don't understand when they're coming into the entertainment industry is that we already have a lot of natural skills, not only of collaborating, but just the inherent social skills of being successful in the entertainment industry, and even the economic skills. There are things when I'm line producing that I think about that nobody else will think about. Like, we have to make sure that we feed everybody, and this is how we have to do it. And there are things that I think tend to get overlooked that by men sometimes, that women are more inclined to do. Do you find, I think also that some women kind of get pigeonholed into certain departments, and they really need like a hand out to help them expand if they're not happy in, say, art department or costuming or makeup and hair, to expand more into filmmaking. Have you found that sometimes women in the entertainment industries will sometimes pigeonhole as well?
I have heard of it, and I do see it happening. I'm very conscious of it in my work. I know the direction I want to go. And so as I move forward, I always question, am I going to get pigeonholed as a documentary director, for example, right, when I'm ready to branch out and do a feature film? And are people just going to see me for a documentary director or producer? But at the same time, I don't believe in being pigeonholed, quote unquote, because that almost makes it sound like a victimized voice. If I'm being pigeonholed, it's not anybody's choice but yours. Okay, so if anybody's feeling pigeonholed in any industry, if you're feeling stuck in any industry, what can you do to get out of that? Because you and you alone are the sole, well, aside from a higher entity, which I believe in, and some do and some don't, but I'm going to say, there's a higher entity driving this force, but I'm driving this force too, and I make the choices. And so will I allow people to pigeonhole me, or am I going to kick down the walls and break down the doors and go get what I want to get? Because I know that's my destiny. So, I think that's a very personal journey. And I think that's a very personal choice, whether or not you allow yourself to be pigeonholed.
I like your proactive response to that. It's very refreshing. What do you think, Judy?
Yeah, I was just thinking all of those complainers and people that sit there and say that they're so unhappy about this and so unhappy about that. And, for me, one of the only things that people can't control necessarily is something that's seriously wrong with their health, and I understand that if you have cancer, God forbid, or something that's really wrong with you and you really can't physically change your situation at that moment. But everything from being with the wrong person to being in a career you don't love to, really everything that's the driving force behind your, mental motivation and way you live life. I completely 200% agree with Sarah that, get up off your duff and put your foot forward and change something about it. Start your 50 cups of coffee or whatever you got to do. Just do something to kind of create that change. Collaboration really is the word here. I mean, I don't hate to be, keep pounding it into the title into people's brain, but it really is collaboration and success really is like the first step is moving forward, like Sarah said.
Even if you do have to put Kahlua in those first few cups of coffee just to get going.
Yeah, or Sarah whiskey, maybe.
Right,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, and sorry, Kristin, may I
of course.
touch on Judy's point? Do you mind?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
And we'd rather put our feet up. Go ahead, talk. We're listening. I don't want to think anymore.
There is an element about collaborating with yourself too. How many of us get disabled by our negative voices?
Yeah, Kristin, we didn't think of that angle. Ourselves, collaborating with ourselves. I like that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so guilty. I'm so guilty. There are days where I'm like, what am I doing? Am I good enough to do this? Why would anybody want to talk to me or have me on their radio show? There are days where those voices get really loud. And is that the kind of person you want to collaborate with? Heck no. If that were a person on my crew, I'd fire them. I want the positive people, the people who are going to show up, who are going to do the work, and who are going to be awesome. And I can say this because I asked Marylou if I could talk about this, but when we were shooting her webinar, for example, there was a point where Marylou was open to coaching, and I would bring things in and she would receive it. She didn't kick back and say you're wrong or I don't agree with what you're saying. She would digest it and listen and try to do better. And so that's healthy collaboration with person to person. Why can't we do that with ourselves? Why, instead of when we have those crazy negative thoughts in our head, and say, instead of beating ourselves up for having those crazy negative thoughts, go, you know what? That's not the kind of person I want to collaborate with. I'm open to better coaching, and start coaching ourselves, shift the perspective, change the volume, turn the negative down, turn the positive up, and be better teammates to ourselves.
Kristin, we got to have this girl on another show.
I know.
Yeah.
I think we need to do like an women in entertainment roundtable and have you part of it. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So
that's a great idea. You have such beautiful insight, Sarah.
You do.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm curious, with all this insight, with all this moxie, with all this can-do attitude that you have, what is next for you?
And we only have about 2.5 minutes, so.
No, what is next for you? What have you got going on? What are we going to see in the marquee next from Sarah Spicer?
I'm working on a docuseries right now, which I have asked Marylou to be a part of because I want to rave about her methods, her teaching. She has brought some products into my life that have changed my life, that have impacted my dog in a great way. My dog is my first baby. They've impacted my 13-month-old daughter in a great way, me. So we'll be talking about health, and it starts with wholeness, right? It starts with our mental health, our own health, so that we can be the best women for our children, our families, our careers, and talk about what's going on in our environment. And I'm also working on a reality show, a Facebook Live episodic that is in pre-production conceptualization right now. And I will put teasers out when I can, but that's probably all I can say about that.
Oh, well, you can't leave us hanging on that one. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we'll have you back as soon as that one breaks out and you want to talk about it. So, Sarah, tell us where we can contact you and, where we can find out more about you.
My website is spicerproductions.com. That's Spicer, like Spice Girls, which everybody says, but it's spicerproductions.com. And Facebook is facebook.com/Spicer Productions. Instagram is Spicer Productions. And I'm on LinkedIn as Sarah Spicer. So you can message me through any of those platforms. And I would love to talk to your listeners and certainly coach anybody out there who is wanting video coaching or even some of this interpersonal coaching that we're talking about. And Judy, I'm really looking forward to working with you more on the video for the Spirit of Women conference. And you guys did a phenomenal job at that conference. I was so honored to be there. And I don't even have words, which is not normal. I'm usually quite talkative.
Thank you. It was an honor to work with you as well. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for coming on the show and being so candid about all of, everything that you said and teaching us so much. And for everyone else that's listening, next week we have Meredith Jones. Meredith is an alternative investment consultant. I can't wait to see what that is. And she's the
I'm sorry about that, everyone. We had a technical issue. Next week, we have Meredith Jones. Meredith is an alternative investment consultant and author of Women of the Street, Why Female Money Managers Generate Higher Returns, and How You Can Too, which won an Axiom Award Gold Medal in 2016. She was also named in Inc. magazine's 17 Inspiring Women to Watch in 2017, and Amy Lyle, best-selling author of The Book of Failures. Don't miss it. Join us again next week or visit us at whatwomenwantradio.com. Thank you for supporting us, and good night.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss and Kristin West, only on LA Talk Radio.